AI is revolutionizing the world as we know it. Look at the different industries from education, health, justice, and even religion. These sectors are evolving due to AI, and we talk about AI for good because it is evolving this in a positive note. But is there a side that has not yet been tapped when we talk about AI for good? We talk about the positive impact. Is there a negative impact to AI? That's what we are demystifying today and dissecting that with our guest of synthesis on this episode, Angela Chukunzira. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Synthesis.
Thank you so much.
What comes to your mind? I'm okay.
Mm.
When we say synthesis, we generated this from synthesis. What comes to your mind when you hear it?
It's actually something that's coming together.
Yeah?
Coming together, like photosynthesis. How plants make their own food?
You really get
Seriously,
it.
it's like now without the light, without
Yeah.
the photo aspect, but synthesis, something that is working, something coming together.
Oh, yeah, you actually got it right. So I was just talking about AI for good in my introduction. But of course, when we were chatting earlier, talking about a side that is invisible,
Yeah.
a side that is not so much talked about because AI ambassadors are all out for AI for good.
Yeah.
It's change, it's a game changer. It's good for education, health, justice, and all that.
Right.
But what's your purview of AI?
I mean, it's like any other industrial revolution that has come before. This is now the fourth, right? With AI, this is the fourth industrial revolution. And it's changing how we are doing things. It's changing how we're thinking. It's changing how stuff is done. And there's really a good aspect to it. When you think of medical diagnosis, if this can help to early detect diseases, when you even think of plants and how do we predict weather better, it can help us to deal with calamities that are in our time. But at the same time, there's a very clear invisibilization, if I can use that word, if that word exists, of the supply chain of AI. So it looks like all this shiny, beautiful thing, but there's something behind the scenes that's not being told, because it now seems like, wow, this is now the revolutionary thing. And the focus is just on the revolution itself.
Actually, that's what I've been focusing on since I came into this space, because my first real interaction with AI as a space was last year towards the end of August.
Yeah.
And all I've known since then is AI for good,
Yeah.
that AI is good for education. It's good for all these sectors. And here you come telling me that for this to work out, in as much as AI is good, there's a side that's suffering.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's also the idea of AI for good. That narrative is being pushed by certain people, certain interests, right? When you think of the entire when you think of the entire AI supply chain, and it's because it's definitely invisible, so people do not see it. People do not understand what's happening. Like, I've been working for the whole year, the whole of last year especially, around the Africa Tech Workers movement. And
Right.
one of the groups that is involved in that movement is the Data Labelers Association. So data labelers are actually the people behind the AI, right?
I mean, we were talking about that with our last guest. Her
Yeah.
name is Jan Muthui,
Yeah.
and she's an AI data operations manager.
Right.
So we were looking at the humans behind AI,
Yeah.
so that we are not just saying AI is going to take our jobs, because AI cannot work without human beings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But what type of jobs is AI giving these human beings? Like, they are mostly young people in this country, mostly precarious workers. So they're being given a project and you're working 18, 20 hours a day to finish that project in 3 months. And after 3 months, there's no job. You have no health cover. All these things that were so-called perks of working. When our parents were working, their excitement was like, I'll work in this job until I retire. But AI and all these other aspects that come with the changing nature of work have shifted how work is done.
Okay.
Right? So that's one aspect of it. When you look at the danger these workers go through, and also the lack of transparency. You're told, take a picture of your child. Why? Where is the picture of my child going? What is it going to train? The lack of transparency in the system itself.
We just did a challenge. Maybe by now it's a bit gone, but the Chat GPT challenge, where we were asked to upload our images, and then it would create for us in turn a caricature image of ourselves. And someone came up and said, do you know what you just did?
Yes.
That you've just given ChatGPT the rights to your
data. Yes, because
yeah,
that's your picture. That's your picture, and now they know your job. They now know, the intensity of how many people are working in this. They now have free information that you're not being compensated for.
Right.
And for me, these are the issues of transparency that are not talked about. Issues of privacy, right? Like what data is the new gold. That's what they say. So, what are the limitations of AI?
So, are we addressing ethical AI at this point? That at what level is AI? And by AI, at this point, you're talking about generative AI alone, right?
Yes.
At what point is it going to use our data without our permission, just because we uploaded an image for it to design something for us?
You're right, Awar. We're talking about ethical AI at this stage. But, ethical AI is also very broad, right? So much as there's this issue of privacy, the issue that we should talk about even much more, because it's much more hidden, at least privacy, people can start seeing, okay, there's this my image on ChatGPT, and they know my name, and they know probably my career path or whatever. But there's the laborers who are being paid peanuts for multi-billion companies. So what does ethical AI look like holistically?
Could you please give me an example of these laborers who are getting peanuts? Let's take Kenya, for instance. An example of these laborers. What are they doing? Where are they? Not to mention the companies, of course, but what roles are they handling?
So there are various types of work. So this is just part of the so-called gig economy, right? So most of them are working as freelancers. Some of them are actually employed by companies. So they go to a company floor and they work there certain hours a day, a certain shift. But for some of them, they work, like I feel like what happened during COVID was a transformation that we didn't even understand we were going through as a society. We used to work 9 to 5, and now we work 24 hours. You work with your laptop at home, you work without any benefits, without any social protection. So you don't know where your retirement money is coming from. And you'll retire for sure one day. So these are also things that, are we thinking of planning of the future as you're working, or we're working for bread, right? And at the same time, there's also, just because of how meager our pay is, the workers, they're just living for bread, really. And it's nothing worthwhile, really, because on top of that, there's also the psychosocial effect of this work, right? Sitting on a desk. Most of these people have back problems, and they're young people, right? Sitting on a desk 18, 20 hours a day, being constantly exposed to toxic content. Toxic is a very wide word. It might mean dead bodies, it might mean pornography, right? So
Angela, you you are a researcher.
Yes.
I also know you are a human rights advocate, and that's why you're talking. That's your perspective, right?
Right.
But let's just pick the research part.
Right.
Researchers work on evidence-based results or information.
Right.
How do we convince anyone who's watching this of what you're saying? I mean, when you talk about back problems didn't begin with AI, right? It's office, behind the desk employment, which I also work behind the desk, and I'm not necessarily working to feed an AI model, right? I'm working on something else that's just behind the desk, and I'm sitting. Yeah. So when we talk about that, could you just point out something that's believable to anyone who's watching this?
Sure. Data Workers Inquiry has done a lot of qualitative work with workers directly. So it's like people sharing the experiences who are in this industry. So it's workers themselves. Data Labelers Association has a website where you can contact these workers and be able to talk to each one of them and be like, okay, so what has been your experience? We've done, there's been a documentary recently released by Copenhagen students, film students, the same, just documenting the experiences of AI workers. Antonio Casilli, who's a researcher from France, he's written a book about invisible labor. There's also Karen Howe's book. I mean, there's so much evidence that can directly link to the possibilities. When you're saying you're sitting behind a desk and you may have a back problem and it's not necessarily due to AI, because you're sitting in an orthopedic chair in an office, as opposed to me who has to sit on my bed, right? No back support. I have to sit on my bed because in my house I do not have an office chair. And the company that's employing me to do this data labeling work does not provide this kind of incentives. Like, you can get an office chair because you're doing this work for 3 months. Yeah. So these are some of the things these are just some of the issues I'm saying. Like, we need to think through in terms of ethical AI. It's broader, it's a labor discussion. And, when you think of the invisibilities of AI, there's so many aspects to it.
Speaking of so many aspects, of course, we also mentioned this about were you saying ecological aspects of it, that while we are happy using generative AI, there's so much water being used to just make a simple search, and which is in some way causing drought as well in countries that have suffered this. I mean, Kenya is going through a drought crisis right now. So,
I mean, the climate catastrophe is something that we're witnessing in everywhere in the world, literally. But some places are much more exposed to this catastrophe of climate change than others. And AI is only exacerbating this problem, right? So there's been researchers who have done work on around data centers. An example is Ana Valdeva from the University of Oxford, who did a research in Mexico, right? So some communities in Mexico where there's a data center that has been built around there are now not having water to drink, water to take care of, like domestic, like water is, when you think of basic needs, water is top tier, right? And so when people are starting to lose their basic needs because of construction of data centers, and they're also increasingly becoming commonplace, like, because the demand for generative AI, also the idea that, and the reason I'm saying part of this is invisible is because the idea of tech, right, as we see it, it's actually like a cloud. It's in the cloud, right? And it's actually in concrete. It's in concrete. It's not in the cloud. Like, it's literal people, data centers, the human resource. When you think of even the minerals that are used, cobalt, lithium, etc., it's actually on the earth.
Oh, you were just you're just mentioning an example of
Mexico.
And Congo.
Yes, DRC, where some of these critical minerals are actually being mined, right? So
tie that to AI for me. Minerals being mined. How does it tie up to AI and giving a negative impact?
So AI is not just some magic pill, right? There's infrastructure.
Yeah.
There's infrastructure that's needed to make this AI work. So what it means is, like, some of the minerals, they're called rare earth minerals, some of them being like cobalt, where they're mined from the ground to make the AI chips, right? And AI chips, like, think of, just maybe for a second, take it a little bit back and think of cloud infrastructure, right? To maintain the internet, we need servers, the same as AI. And so with these data centers that are being constructed for these AI chips to be able to run, we need a lot of water to cool. So we need those chips, we need the cobalt, we need the whatever, all the minerals, right? To create those chips. And for the chips to work, they need to be in a data center. So it's land, it's literally like a big room where the chips are. And then to be able to make those chips running, you need to cool them. So what is used to cool? It's water. It's water. And this might mean displacing communities. It might mean people lacking water because you're using it for a data center. And after that water, when those chips are done, there's also the dump, the e-waste, which is actually happening in Ghana. right? So think of Africa. Think of the political economy of AI in an African perspective. So we provide the minerals in Congo, we provide the labor in Kenya, and again we provide the dustbin where these things are thrown. So we're just so that's why I'm saying this is also an extractive industry.
Okay.
A very extractive industry. It duplicates colonialism actually in one way or another. Because colonialism came to take the land, right? And every industrial revolution, black bodies, black resources have been used, right? So the labor that's being used, think about when cotton fields were now, when they discovered the new land, yeah? And people had to go and build the cotton and farm the land, right? Till the land. That's what people are doing now.
Angela, we or people believe that AI has come to take their jobs. Like, this is something that I'll probably ask in every one of the episodes to come.
Yeah.
And in the last episode, we also talked about AI is also creating new jobs.
Right.
And those are some of the jobs that you're talking about.
Yeah.
These people who are still having a backache because they have to sit to feed the data into the systems. Where does that leave us? Because we also have an employment problem. If you take Kenya as an example, but here's an opportunity to get employed, to get a job. Where does that leave us? Where's the balance?
We want jobs, but what type of jobs do you want? We want decent work, right? We're demanding for decent work. Like, we don't want to go down the drain. Like, the assumption is always like society progresses upwards. But look at what has happened to us. As I've just mentioned, like after COVID-19, after the pandemic, it's like we used to work 8 to 5, now we work 24/7. So these are worker rights that have been fought for very many years. Even think about something like the weekend. We take it for granted. Oh, today is Friday and we should start now. But think of the weekend. It's something that has been fought for by workers, and people no longer have weekends. You work on Saturday, you work on Sunday, you have no break. So we want to, even as we are reorganizing work and rethinking about work, I think if AI should work for us and work for good, as people claim, then we should be able to work less and have more life, right? And still have enough to be able to feed ourselves and nourish ourselves.
Okay. Yeah. So, AI is already doing some good. True or false?
True, absolutely.
Yeah? And earlier I asked you whether you're a woman in AI because you talk so strongly about, the negative impacts. How do you define yourself as a woman in AI with all these perspectives on your mind?
I don't think it's contradictory. I just mean, I feel like the space, as when people think of women in AI, people think of people who are building the technology.
Actually, that's what I think of. Women who are building, these are innovators.
No, there's space for
with all
everybody.
the praises and the flowers.
And they deserve them,
Yeah.
for sure, because they're innovative and it's great. Like, I love the scientists, but there's also space for social scientists like myself. There's also space for human rights work that's being done, advocacy. And that's my space in AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, we cannot deny, in fact, it's undeniable that AI is here and it's here to stay. There's nothing we are going to do that's going to take us back away from AI, that's going to make the people who are building stop. What's your take on a perfect world order with AI? With all the things that you've said, all the wrongs that already exist, what's your take?
That's a tough one.
How would that look like?
If I'm to be utopian, I would say I desire to see an AI that respects planetary boundaries, right? You cannot take water away from people because you're building a technology. You cannot look at people working in poor conditions. And, it's on 2 levels. It's on several levels, actually. But I just only mentioned the data labelers. But think of the miners who are in Congo. Some of it is child labor, actually. Think of the environmental impact of all these mining communities. Some of them have respiratory problems from birth to death. Some are born because of the environment being polluted, the pollution that comes with the mining itself.
Though that is not entirely an AI fault.
No.
Because those minerals are used for other things as well.
I would, even before AI, when just mining in itself as an industry is environmental degradation. you know. But I'm only saying that AI is exacerbating this issue. It's increasing the problem because now there's higher demand, right? And even the technology, how it's being created, it's people are actually now able to use AI to scan what is available in terms of the resources. So for me, where there's fair labor practices, a utopian world where there are fair labor practices for every level where in the supply chain, and an AI that respects the planetary boundaries, because all the resources we have are not infinite, right? So we need to use them when we're thinking of the future, because we're only here for like 75 years, 80 max, then you'll be forgotten. So we are custodians.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the moment, in conclusion, do we say AI is good or bad?
To be honest, Awar, I don't think that's a useful debate to have. It's embedded in our daily lives. So how do you want to use it? That's the question. I'll leave it.
It's the same way you told me earlier, if I may put it, that AI is probably not necessary.
I mean, like, listen, how do we... There are things about AI that irk me so much. On a lighter note, like,
Okay.
why are we finally suddenly convinced that we cannot respond to emails? Things that we were doing so naturally. Why are we suddenly convinced that I must run it through AI to make it perfect? We're not perfect. We have our own biases. We have our own ideas of life. And
AI challenges us to be perfectionists. You have to send an email that has 0 punctuation mistakes.
And it looks ugly. Have you noticed? Like, you can sense like AI language, how it looks.
I thought it's beautiful
it's
once
not.
you edit it a bit.
No. I disagree.
But I've also been told that, there's growth in this space. So AI is being improved, generative AI, for the case of this conversation. And especially now, the premium ones gives you perfection, that you don't have to edit it.
But
the free ones, you have to edit.
So maybe it leaves the question, should we be living without our brains going forward?
Do you think when you prompt a language model, you're not using your brain?
You are, but you're also using your brain to make sure that we're training it to give the best answers, right? So I don't know, man. I'm concerned actually about intellectual growth and intellectual decline. And we are no longer reading books. We are no longer excited about writing, excited about expressing ourselves.
We are coming to the end of this conversation. My last question to you is, what's your take of, is having this conversation necessary? Having a women's platform, Women in AI platform, to talk about artificial intelligence in various perspectives?
No, it's very, very important, because I'm bringing in an ecofeminist perspective. Someone else will bring in a scientific perspective. And all these things must be fused, and we must synthesize. We must synthesize them, and
we are synthesizing.
Be able to have conversations, disagree, agree. That is what is the point. Like, outside of AI, let's have these debates, let's have these conversations going. They're very important. That's important journalistic work. It's important research work.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming to Synthesis. Your perspectives are very much welcome. It leaves us with a lot to think about. If we were biased on one side that AI is good, let's embrace AI, let's collaborate and partner with AI, because that's the present and it's the future. But which side are we not looking at? Is AI generally all good, or is there a side that we need to look at and ensure that once this thing occupies the entire global order, we are not left in problems, big problems? Thank you so much for tuning in to this conversation. My name is Awur Ojongo, and with us today is Angela Chukunzira.
Thank you.
She is a brilliant researcher and a social justice advocate. Yes?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it. Till next time. Bye-bye.